Welcome to episode 139 of Star Wars and Scotch. I am a very exhausted and tired man, joined by another very exhausted and tired man.
Hey.
As we have entered
Oh God.
Hell Week.
Yeah.
Weeks.
It's show.
Plural.
This is the show. You know, it's their one time of the year where it's just balls to the wall.
So we did not prepare anything for this episode except Tim grabbed some links late last night. All of our attention has been on GCX, the physical show. We started the marathon on Monday. Tim did his block yesterday, which was phenomenal.
I'm so tired. I'm still tired. I can't believe it. I don't think people really understand like when you really start to like get into fundraising and you're like and you're performing. Like you're just running on just pure adrenaline like the entire time. Like my block it started and then it was over and I had all these incentives and I was talking to Amy about it after the fact and I was like, I left so much on the table and she's like, no, it just snowballed. And I was like, yeah, like that's what happened. It was like everything had like a good pace and she's like, you were doing great. And then all of a sudden it kind of just took off. And so I was just like, well, we got to do this and that and this and that. And then you're also trying to like play the game and thank people for donations and stuff. And I don't think people really realize like how much it takes out of someone who is like really in it. Because like you can fundraise and then you can like fundraise. So it's a lot.
It is. You did a phenomenal job.
Thanks, dude.
So thank you so much. But we're tired and we're exhausted, so we're going to talk like this the entire episode. And as you know, we're not off next week. We're just live from GCX. Yeah. So if you want to join us, you can do that. You can watch it at home or join us at the show, which I would recommend more than watching at home. You can go to gcxevent.com to learn more, see the schedule, all sorts of cool stuff and shows and things for you to participate in, content creators to meet, artists to check out their work. I could go on and on and on, but there's so many cool things happening this year at GCX. Marathon wraps on August 1st. Right. So if you're awake during the Eastern hours from 8 a.m. to midnight, you can head over to twitch.tv/GCX event or YouTube. We're supposed to be live on TikTok, but that hasn't happened. Sorry, I might get crazy laughs the entire time.
And being live on Facebook doesn't really do anything, so.
Oof. Scathing.
It's okay. Lupo made a contract joke yesterday, so just leaning into it now.
You may as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, gcxevent.com. Grab your tickets. Check out the show. Donate to St. Jude. Whatever you're feeling, you do it. Also, might I emphasize this, is that the after party for Universal is weird. We don't have a ton of room left. So judging by how many people will probably try and buy the day of, there is a chance we could sell it before, but I don't. It's 50-50, honestly, for me. It could happen. So I'm going to say get your tickets as soon as possible for the Universal after party because I can't guarantee that if you show up to the event, there will still be tickets available for that party. We do have a limited amount, so make sure that you do that.
Kevin, yes. I have my pass. What?
That pass will only get you so far, and that
I have a T-shirt.
That also will not get you anywhere, actually.
Oh.
Thanks, Fortnite kid. So by the time you hear this, you should definitely listen to this episode, but you'll probably see that Big Cheese is live if you're one of the people that listen to it immediately, which is like 90-something% of you.
There's a lot of people that just sit there and wait and they're like, is it live yet? Is it live yet?
Oh, no, you look at the analytics on the podcast side and the YouTube side, most of the views are within the first, like before midnight on release day.
That's amazing.
So people, they wait for this. But Big Cheese is live. Erica Nagashimi's live tonight. Erica Nagashima. And you can go to gcxevent.com to see who else is live. Also, Kings Coast announced we got some new bags.
Yeah.
And they're awesome.
That's sick.
So make sure you're checking that out, kingscoastcoffee.com. We got some barrel age coming down the pipeline. Kings Coast will be at GCX. So if you'd like to wake up and enjoy some Kings Coast, you can do so in the hall. Yeah. In it. When you walk in and you make the left and you walk past Tim's beautiful wife, Amy, at the Lab 77 booth, you wave to Amy, you buy a little merch, and then you walk over past her, and there's King's Coast right there. Other alternative option: walk past Amy, still wave, and then go to King's Coast, and then go back and buy the merch before you head into the hall. So those are your two options.
Those are
if you don't drink coffee, I'm sorry.
Those are probably the two places that I'll end up being at the most. It's probably helping Amy out with lab and hanging out on the King's Coast.
Drinking coffee.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah, it's funny because George, they're doing a lounge, Leviathan Core.
yeah.
And they want to bring like content creators in there and show them, some NDA stuff and whatnot. And George is like, "Can you just keep King's Coast in there at all times for me and my entire team?" I was like, "George, I will make that happen because you're wonderful." So I texted him yesterday about something for the lounge, and he immediately calls me. He's like, "I'm so sorry, I had a cat emergency." I was like, "George." So, come hang out. It'll be a good time. It'll be fun. Star Wars and Scotch Live. We got Alex and Molly. We got our buddy Chase, That Gay Jedi, joining us as well. So make sure come say hi, because those are some of our favorites. We have this like little pocket of friends we formed since we made this podcast, and those are our favorite. No offense to anyone else that's been on the show. We love you too. But like, I feel like we vibe really well with Alex, Molly, and Chase. I would say we vibe really well with Pete and Chaco as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
They're all great people. Honestly, I think all of our guests have been fantastic.
Everybody. I'm actually, to kick things off, so we've talked about it a bit, but this Star Wars Galaxies Restoration private server, they're going like ham all over.
Really ham. Like and they're seeing more and more of like our like friends that we know in the industry like playing it. Yeah, I think didn't they follow you on Twitter?
They followed me on Twitter, so I followed them back. So after GCX is over, I'm gonna see if we can get them on the show before
I would love
Ahsoka
that.
drops.
That'd be so cool.
I'd love to learn what it takes to launch a private server of a game that's defunct. Because there's plenty out there. I mean, there's a ton. They're working on a WildStar private server right now. I have the Warhammer Return to Reckoning, which is the Warhammer MMO that EA Mythic flubbed.
Wow.
Yep, I have that one on my computer, and then I have Star Wars Galaxies Restoration. So it's an interesting thing, and for years they did it with WoW until Blizzard was like, "Well, we'll just do it ourselves." How's that sound?
You're talking about the vanilla servers, right?
Yeah, for years it was all fan run, and then I think Blizzard realized they could monetize a bit more by doing it in house, so they did it. The cool thing with that though is you don't need an extra subscription. Your current WoW subscription allows you to play classic or retail.
Gotcha.
So it's pretty smart. But regardless, so I'd love to chat with them. I'd love to chat with them about Star Wars Galaxies is a sandbox.
Yeah.
Versus SWTOR, which is very almost. I've read, and I think it was supposed to be Coder 3, and then it was during the MMO craze. So they were like, "What if we just made it an MMO?" And I think they dropped the ball there. Honestly, again, it's a game I love dearly, but I think it would have been just better as a story game. Yeah. So they're very different, but the Galaxies community blames EA and SWTOR and BioWare for killing their game.
Yeah.
So I'd love to talk to them about that, because you don't get into this unless you were passionate about the previous game and had some sort of emotional connection to it. Mm-hmm. So I'm just interested to see what they would have to say about that. So we'll reach out to them. We got some other people, but Ahsoka's coming up too. That's the big thing.
Yeah, 23rd, August 23rd. It's less than a month away. And there was a new trailer that dropped, but I haven't seen it. You said that you watched it, but there wasn't a lot that was there that was new, right?
Nothing poignant
looking at, right? It was just, but that's the final trailer. That's the final cinematic trailer before we actually get the show.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, it was cool, but I didn't really see much that I hadn't seen in the other like 2 or 3 trailers that we've seen already. So it was whatever. And that I think dropped because of San Diego Comic-Con, which happened last week.
Wow, and a lot came out of San Diego Comic-Con for Star Wars, and I was really surprised. We didn't get a lot of shows because of everything else. Like, we didn't get show news coming out because of everything going on in Hollywood. But there was a lot of comic book. They went ham on comic book reveals for Phase 3. I'm super excited for Phase 3 because we're going back to the timeline that I like. We're going back to the part of the High Republic that we all started out on, which is like it's going to be nostalgic because that was your first. Like, that was your introduction to this brand new piece of time that we've never explored before. And then we were very jarringly, we were just ripped out of it and thrown 200 years even farther backwards in time, which was just so jarring. I feel like I have whiplash from that, because it's just like, hey, you love all these characters? Too bad. Just like, okay, I have to learn all these new guys, which is just, and you and I have talked about it last week, and I feel like other weeks in the other shows in the past, we just don't care. There's no way to relate with these characters because we were so connected with the other characters. Like for me, like I love Skier. Like a Trandoshan. Skier. Like he's just cool, man. He's really neat. I want to know what happens to him. Like he's part Drangier now. So like what happens? Like there's so much that was just kind of left there for us to kind of just marinate in, which is neat. And I think it kind of gave, like, I guess it kind of gave you time to catch up on everything going on in phase 1. But then you have to go back, and I really think you could go phase 1 to phase 3, skip all of phase 2, and you might get a couple nods here and there in phase 3 to what we experience. But maybe they'll bring up Arano, or Iram, or the Timekeeper Moon, or the level. I know we're gonna get the Leveler for sure. We know about the Path. We know about the Leveler. We know about the Mother, but I don't think that really matters. Danielle's gonna bring you coffee live on stream. Come on, Danielle, bring it on in.
Tim said to just bring it on in.
She's the hand. Nice.
Thank you, dear.
For those that are listening, Kevin's wife just brought him some coffee because she's awesome. She's great.
She
very
really
supportive.
Is. She goes in the bathroom this morning. She's like, "You okay?" I'm like, "Mm-hmm." She's like, "You haven't been talking in 2 days, and I can feel your stress from 6 feet away."
Well, Amy, it's so weird. Amy handles stress so much differently than I do. She'll work. That's how she gets through her stress, is that she'll just work through it. And for me, I'm just like, I looked at her this morning. I'm like, "I'm so sorry." And she's like, "What?" And I'm like, "I did this." It's like, lab was my idea. I'm so sorry. Just like GCX, I'm sorry. Because I just haven't seen my wife in a while. She's like, "No, it's fine." She's like, "It's great. We're gonna get through it." I'm like, God, she's always just so optimistic about everything, and I hate it. Like, I wish you'd just be on my level emotionally just for a second. But that's why we have great partners. We have great partners in this. But anyways,
very supportive.
So phase 2, cut it out. Into the trash, I think, is great. I'm really glad we didn't end up going for phase 3 even farther back in time, which is I was really worried about. I was really worried that phase 3 was going to be another 200, like it would get us closer to the dawn of the Jedi. And I was worried about that. I just didn't give a rat's ass about it. So it's nice knowing coming out of San Diego Comic-Con, which is where this entire train of thought was going. Coming out of San Diego Comic-Con is very relieving for me because we get to see a lot of the characters that we started to fall in love with. Like we got the twins. We've got we got Elzar Mann. We get to see this new character. We get to learn that there's going to be new bad guys as well. They're going to be the children of the. Hold on. They're the children of Alex?
The Storm.
Yeah,
I think you said Children of the Storm.
I was going to say Children of the Watch, and I'm like, that is wrong. That's a different one. That's a different show, Tim. So the Children of the Storm. So I would assume the Children of the Storm are going to be what Marchion Ro ends up developing out of everyone being taken out of his ranks, right? He's lost everybody. Like everyone's gone. All he has left are these robots. He just has these robots running the show on the deck. That's where we kind of leave Marchion Ro. And so I would assume he realizes that robots can't do everything, so he needs to start building up his ranks, but he's going to do it in a different way. He's not going to have his lieutenants. He's not going to have all these people that are going to be power hungry. I think he realized that like with Lorna D and all of the bullshit that was going on, that he's like, why do I need to deal with all of this drama? Why do I need to worry about people trying to backstab me? That's why he has robots. Robots aren't going to backstab him. They're under his control. And then if he gets the lowerlings, the people who don't, the cannon fodder, if you will, I think that's kind of like where we're going to end up going, is that these guys are kind of just, they're the henchmen for Marchion at this point. So he's thinned out his ranks. He's got a bunch of henchmen. But then we also get this, like, we don't know what this beast is behind. So we got a cover from, this is Cavan Scott and Returns for Star Wars The High Republic. This is High Republic number 2.
Yes.
And there's this prowling creature behind him, but we don't know what it is. I assume it's a leveler. but it might not. I mean, it's this very like spectral looking like lion kind of thing, and I thought that's how the levelers were explained to us through the books, is that they were kind of like these like big, just like big dog looking kind of creatures.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like the gnarled front paws and stuff. This is all on StarWars.com if you want to go look at it and you're on audio. But yeah, it's also, I like the Hannibal Lecter mask. It's interesting touch.
And he's holding this big ass chain on it. Like he must be like just like a beastmaster of some sort.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
He looks
an
sick.
Interesting character.
He's got like these like, and his trench coat is like all like furled at the end, or is that the right word to use? And they're all like cut up. It looks very steampunky. I'm digging this. Yeah. I'm digging this vibe. Very, very much so. Kevin, okay, all right. So real quick, Kevin and I were hanging out last night, and he was telling me about this other Warhammer game. Because for those that don't know, I've been getting into Warhammer 40K. Well, Kevin's like, have you heard of this one? And what is it? Age of
Sigmar.
Age of Sigmar. And he's like, look, this is going to be your people. And he goes right to the Dark Elves. Like, oh, no, we were looking at your Warhammer.
Oh, no, that was Total War. That was Total War 3.
Me Total War. And he's like, look at these guys. These are your people. It's like Dark Elves. And they just like really edgy.
You said you were like, oh, who are they?
Oh, yeah.
And
I was like, who are the High Elves? And he picks, and I was like, they look like
I was
pricks.
like, you don't like them. No. That's like Legolas and them. You're not into them. Here you go. Boom. Dark Elves. And he's like, oh, yeah, because he saw, if you know Warhammer Fantasy Malekith.
So
if you know Malekith from Warhammer Classic and Fantasy, he's got the coolest mask and everything. So Tim was like, oh, yes, that's my people.
Yeah, I mean, like, they got black and red armor on with gold accenting, and it's just out there, man. It was really cool. So anyways, yeah, it just Kevin knows. I'm just the edgy Dark Lord.
So yeah, it's if you scroll up to the other one too, with we have an older Kiev Trennis. If you've been following the comics, which I am not caught up on, getting there. Kiev is much younger. That was Skier's Padawan.
Yes.
So she's much older. We don't know if it's Tarek
I don't
or
know which one it is.
Senate.
Well,
you can't really tell. Seret or Tarek.
Okay, but didn't what happened to one of them?
One of them dies, but then they bring them back.
He comes back, but he doesn't have a soul, right? His soul's like essentially gone. He's kind of like a husk.
Yeah, they have but they have a psychic connection, so it's very weird.
Yeah.
I need to get caught up to know what's going on there. It also seems like they now have a cybernetic implant.
I saw that. It kind of looks like the people from Bespin.
Yes, and the hand too. Look at the hand.
Yeah, that looks like he got his arm chopped off. So I don't know what happened there. And is that Lorna? That's Lorna D next to them too, right?
That is Lorna D, who I don't think had like.
But look, what happened to her Leku?
That's what I was about to say. I don't know.
She's got like Dr. Octavius Leku now. I wonder if she can like control him and then she uses him as like whips and shit.
It's interesting. I'd be curious to know more about that.
This Twi'lek battle armor is pretty sick.
Also, Lorna D had one of the best books of Phase 1.
Oh my God. Her book was phenomenal.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see Lorna back.
But this would make sense because where we leave her, she's prisoner. She's a prisoner of the Republic, right? They capture her, and that's kind of like where it ends up.
She was captured, yes.
She was captured, and they were using her to get to Markion because she essentially she was like, all right, like I give up. So now she's allied. I wonder if she's going to be an anti-hero. I wonder if she's being set up to be like she's fighting with the Jedi, but she knows that's her best bet for survival, but she's still up to no good. Because she's an evil bitch. Like, there's no way around it.
Yes.
Like, she does some evil stuff. She was setting up bodies with bombs. Like, that's some evil stuff. See, back to the whole, I remember more about that than I remember anything with Phase 2. The only thing that has stuck in my mind in Phase 2 is the ending of it's the wedding. The wedding scene is the only part to Phase 2, and I will have to say the only reason why I care about that is because the way that Mark Thompson reads it and the way they put all the sound effects and everything into it, I could see it happening in my mind. It was all playing out. It was like a movie. But outside of that, there hasn't been a lot that has really stuck out as this was really interesting. Like there's a couple characters I'm like, oh, they're fun, but I can barely remember their names. So I just love that I remembered like all of those intricate details when it came out from her book. And I don't know if it was because of the way that it was performed or it's just like it was just that good.
I'm reading Path of Vengeance right now, which is
Is that the teen one?
Yeah, it's not teen. It's, they're
Young
like talking
adult?
about sex and stuff in it. Yeah, young adult. And it doesn't advance the story. Again, it is all about Markion's mother or grandmother. I don't know who she is to him. Marta again.
She's so boring.
But they went back to the end of the Battle of Jeddah.
Why?
And now we're back on Dalna, which is kind of where you are in this other story. And I'm just like, why? Why are we doing this again? And I didn't think I was going to go into GCX and start a fight with everyone over the High Republic Phase 2.
Honestly, I'm
but
here
now
for it.
I feel like I am going to start a fight with everyone about how I'm so disenchanted with Phase 2 at this point.
Boring. It feels like they ran out of ideas and they're like, we have to do this, but we have to stretch out. I think that what they're doing is they're stretching out Phase 3 so that when Acolyte shows up, it has a tie-in.
I just don't see nothing has been worth taking us away from the characters that we were starting to enjoy. Like you look at this one cover and it has Elzar Mann on it with the fallen
starlight beacon in the ocean.
Right, and we left that off with Stellan Gios being dead.
Yeah.
And Elzar and Avar having to pick up the pieces. But now what? I got to wait 2 years for some like advancement on that? Like that's what's bothering me is this it's not like I'm waiting for the next season of House of the Dragon, which I will, wait 2 years for. It's a book. It's a comic book. Like I want more meat on that bone before we get to Acolyte.
Do you think Phase 2 was used as kind of like cannon fodder to get them through the development of Phase 3?
Maybe.
Like that's the only thing I could think of. Like some of the writers are like that wrote the Phase 2 books are like really good. Like they have great writing. It's unfortunate that the substance that they were using was just so inadequate. It's just like there was which is frustrating because I've read other books by these authors and they're great. So I really feel like Lucas ran out of ideas when it came to Phase 2. Like they had this really cool idea of like, let's really start to develop the beginning of the Jedi Order in the expansion of the Outer Rim, blah, 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 blah. And they did a great job in Phase 2. And then they're like, let's go even further. People love this one. They loved it in Phase 1. Let's go even further back and see how they like that. It doesn't make any sense. Either I think Phase 2 was, and we can talk about this more next week, but I think Phase 2 is used as a meat shield to get through the development of Phase 3 so that it could be a Big Bang. Like, that's the only thing that makes sense to me. Because the writing was so good in Phase 1. There was a lot of character development, but even though there was a ton of character development, it was still enjoyable character development. Because, and we've said this before time and time again when it comes to character development in most of these shows, they're boring. In the books.
It takes a lot.
The Light of the Jedi was kind of rough at the beginning, but once you kind of got through remembering who everybody was and what they could do, it was just off to the races. You're just, boom, you're going at Mach 3. So I don't know. I'm not sure.
I'm scrolling through this, basically the publishing panel that Lucasfilm. You know what? Before we jump into that, let's take a quick break, pay a few bills, be right back. All right, we're back. So back to discussion of the High Republic,
San Diego Comic-Con.
The Comic-Con panel and everything. So these Adventures comics, Tim, I think are also like young adult. Well, no, they should. Dark Horse is not young adult comics, so I got to look more into these Adventures comics.
They look like younger people, so I'm intrigued.
Yeah, but Dark Horse is not known for making comics for younger people.
What if this is their first?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Dark Horse series will return for Phase 3 with the continuing adventures of Zine and Court. I knew I recognized them too. As seen on the cover of the High Republic Adventures #1 with the mysterious looming figure, the duo also graces the cover of the High Republic Adventures #2. Do you see this looming figure in the back of High Republic Adventures #1 with the Magneto mask?
Oh. Well, that's interesting.
They also have a red aura about them.
Do you also see the sigil on their on his chest? What is that?
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
What is that? Okay. Well, I mean, like, I like Dark Horse comics, so this
So do I.
actually could be really good.
You got the kids book too, Escape from Valo. Hunter loves these kids High Republic books. Highly recommend if you're trying to get your kid. And then before we jump into the info picks, Defy the Storm. We get our first look at Vernestra Rowe, Jordana Sparkburn, and Avon Staros on the cover of the High Republic Defy the Storm. In the ominous art for the young adult story written by Tessa Gratton and Justina Ireland, the trio are surrounded by a sea of Nihil figures. Can we just take a moment to appreciate the Nihil art and how cool it is and how awesome they look and how it's like Mad Max meets... Have you ever read... which Batman comic was it? With the mutants?
Nope.
They look like the mutants from that Batman. Is it Dark Knight? It's not Dark Knight.
Yeah, I mean, like, but these guys, I mean, hell, even some of them look like hunters from Destiny. They with like the flight suit mask on with the freaking hose going to the backpack. Like they look really, really cool. So this is gonna be. Honestly, I might give it a listen. But to go back to the Star Wars Adventures. So the first run of Star Wars Adventures was actually written by IDW. Or IDW published it, and they do recognize that the High Republic with all ages adventures tying into a larger High Republic story. So this, it's like a family friendly comic is how you could kind of like look at it, because it's for all ages. So I would assume the adventure, it's not going to be as dark or as gritty of a tone, but it's still going to have like that kind of thing where like dad could be reading it to the kiddo.
But again, it goes back to what we've always said about Star Wars, and that's one of the great things is that, it's for the whole family at the end of the day.
Well, now it is, most definitely now.
But, there's probably, I don't want to say there's good lore in there for the kids' books, but you'll probably learn something that applies to the larger story and be like, oh, okay, I like that. That's fun,
Well, and now that Kylo's at an older age now where I could actually like read these things and he kind of comprehends it, like it's more enjoyable for me because I can share that with him. So...
Chef Steve is on the charity marathon right now, and I have it on. Steve is making this like strawberry Nutella crepe, and I am
he's also supposed to be making
salivating.
Philly cheesesteak cinnamon buns.
God damn it.
I don't know what that means, because in my mind that sounds like a terrible pairing, but I've seen this man cook, and I'm sure it tastes amazing.
No, wait, Philly cheesesteak. I thought it was cinnamon rolls.
Yeah, I thought
Philly
it was
cheesesteak cinnamon.
Yeah, Philly cheesesteak cinnamon rolls. What did I say?
Philadelphia cream cheese cinnamon rolls.
Oh, I thought it was Philly cheesesteak. Like he was going to be putting like thin slices of beef.
No, it's the cream cheese icing, which is the greatest icing in the
that
planet.
Makes so much more sense. Amy said that he was making cheesesteak cinnamon rolls. I'm like, what? Okay.
He's folding the crepe right now.
Is your fat kid kicking in, Kevin?
Oh yeah, this is good. This is good.
look at
Anyway,
that
back to
shot.
he's showing the camera with the powdered sugar.
So look at that. That's a crepe with Nutella, strawberries, whipped cream, and then he put apples on top of that. He put apple slices on top of that. My God.
Want it.
In a pickle. I'm done. Bye.
I'm out.
No,
you lost me.
No, he's still on. God. Oh, okay. Anyways, so yeah,
I love Steve.
audio listeners, I hope you enjoyed that ASMR food.
But this is why you should go to the charity marathon and
it's still gonna be
experience
on
these
when you hear this,
insane
so.
moments. Yeah, it'll be on till next. What is it? Monday or Tuesday?
Tuesday. If it's the first.
Tuesday.
I thought it was Monday.
Tuesday. It ends Tuesday.
Oh my God. Makes sense though.
That's what I'm saying. Everyone's like,
we get a full block of Monday, and then we get Lupo to end it on Tuesday. Be good.
I think Lupo's Tuesday afternoon.
I think he starts at noon.
Because Datto and Lep are in the morning.
But
that's going to be a hell of a day.
It's going to be a wild day.
Anyway, back to Star Wars. So they also put out these, what do you call them, infographics?
So this is going to be the character encyclopedia. So I have a couple of them. I've got the full episode 1 through 9 character encyclopedia, which is really cool. There's a few other encyclopedias that are out. Like there's a planet. There's one where it's like planets and animals and other things. So I have a few of them. They're really cool. And so now we get one for the High Republic, which is great because now we're getting all of these visual material that goes along with these characters that we've only seen maybe bits and pieces of, or you might have seen them once in a comic book, or you've only ever like read them in the books if you don't look at the comic books. but like Lena So, who like we get to see her and her big cats. These things look terrifying. They have like forked tongues. They've got 4 eyes. They're massive lion-looking creatures. It's really, really cool. And then just, like gives them a full breakdown of like who they are, what they did, like personal struggles, aftermath, and then we get to the Drengir, which is fantastic. So we get a little bit more description of the Drengir in this encyclopedia. Here, I'll just read a little bit of it. It talks about the root mind. So like the Drengir's thoughts are connected, so they communicate as one collective. The root mind that wants to grow and take over its surrounding. Drengir target young or weak civilians, gaining strength so they can spread out and can control more territory. Then they talk about the great progenitor. So it's just like, it's a lot of like just really cool stuff that you can go back and you might hear it, you might read in a book, you might hear it in the audiobook or see it mentioned in the comic, and you can quickly go back and look at that and get a nice refresher. I love having these because they're also just great pieces to have out. This is definitely something you could throw on your coffee table, or like for me, I've got a bookshelf just full of just Star Wars books. I'm gonna try to like. I think by the time I'm done streaming, I want this to just be a library. I've always wanted to have a library. Like since I was a little kid, I've always wanted to have a library, and so I want this to be a library of just nerd stuff.
I like that.
I want that so bad. Just whiskey and books.
Well, but my wife, for the listeners and the viewers, is an interior designer and architect. So this room that I'm in now is I'm home again. That's why I'm not in the office, because we're slowly transitioning to hybrid at Rare Drop, if you will. So we're gonna have home offices, but we have a studio we work with that we'll be working out of 1 day a week, and then I have office space downtown that we'll use as well. So I'm transitioning back into the room. This is the room I used to stream in, but I'm on the other side of the room because half of the room is now used for weights, and I have bought a whole functional trainer. I know Tim gets very confused when I say functional trainer. There's not a human standing over there
every
waiting
time he
to
says
train
functional
me.
trainer, I feel like there's a person that he has locked up. It's like,
It has a Smith machine, it has racks, it has cables, and all of that stuff in one piece.
Protein powder for the day. Take it.
At 8 a.m., what is it? At 3 a.m., I snort protein powder. not ingest, snort. When we're redesigning this space, because I used to have it decorated for stream and everything, now it's just blank white walls.
Yeah,
here.
It's very medicinal.
Yeah, look, I'll pull the curtain back for you. No, I'm not going to do that. The whole thing will fall. Anyway, so it's all white walls. So I want to make this room into my space. Like this is my thing. So I have.
He's not going to turn it into my space. He's going to turn it because he's like, unless you're going to have your top 10 friends in your room at all times.
Maybe I will. But what I wanted to do was paint it, and I still have to move some electrical around and get the garage door off its tracks. But I wanted to paint it, and then I wanted to do a wall sticker of Yoda saying there is no try, only do, because it kind of plays into what the room functions as, which is my workspace. If I'm creating content with anyone or I'm working out, it's just, it feels like the right quote. So we were talking about doing a wall sticker of Yoda and then having it be a word bubble, but the word bubble would be neon light up.
Oh, sick.
So it would pop a little bit.
Yeah.
But then I said, what do I do with all my shit? Like I have this Anakin toy from God knows when. I think that's Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith.
Away from me.
I got that. I got my favorite pop figure of all time.
Better be me.
Mr. Rogers.
Oh, I love that. That's so cute.
So, I got all this stuff. I got Jon Snow. I got Balrogs. I got Sea of Thieves pirates.
Yeah,
I
you
got
want to be able to,
Assassins.
you want to show it off. In a
I want to
nice,
show
fun
my
way.
nerddom.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's why when you mentioned the library, I have an insane amount of nerd books, like Star Wars, Song of Fire and Ice. I think I have 6 different versions of The Lord of the Rings.
Oh my God.
One is signed by most of the cast too. So I have all of this stuff to display, and with the way it works when you live with a designer, by the way, it doesn't go out there. It has to be relegated to this space. So actually, she has the signed Lord of the Rings books out there. But it's relegated to this space. So I'm really trying to make it my own. And with the Star Wars stuff, like I don't know if it's hanging up in Hunter's room. when episode 7 came out, I bought this poster, and basically, Tim, it's a silhouette of every single lightsaber fight from episode 1 all through episode 7.
Oh, cool.
But they're like thin like that on each, and it's just the silhouette of each fight.
Yeah.
So like episode 4 is Vader and Obi-Wan, episode 5, you know, and it
cool.
keeps going on. So episode 6 is my favorite because it's Luke, Vader, and then the Emperor's silhouetted chair in the middle of them.
Oh, that's good.
But it's hanging up in Hunter's room now. But like, I have all this crazy art. I have art from God of War. I have art from The Witcher that, you know, I love.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to make the space mine, but I want the focus to be Star Wars. That's what I was getting at, which is why I want the huge Yoda, because like that's
sick.
the one. That and Lord of the Rings, those are my two things. Like if I'm they make me me.
Oh, but what if you just what if you turned your office space into a hobbit hole? Just like you walk in and it feels like you're in Bilbo Baggins' living room. So you have to bring the ceiling down really low, and everything's made out of wood.
So me and Audrey have a plan that when I'm retired and I need a project, we want to build a hobbit hole vacation home Airbnb for people to rent out to spec.
Yes, fantastic. So you walk in, you hit your head on the chandelier.
You're Gandalf when you walk in there.
I think people, you know, the weird thing is, as uncomfortable and inconvenient as that would be, the amount of people that would want to go in there and stay in there would be so crazy. You'd be booked up for years.
The other option, too, is to make it to spec as if you were the size of a hobbit.
Now that's what you need to do.
Those are our two things.
You need to make it to as if you were a hobbit. So then you could have some items that are really big, like Gandalf left his stick in there, and it's just like this big fucking stick.
And Audrey is my oldest daughter. For those who don't know, she is obsessed. She loves Lord of the Rings more than any of the other stuff. Lord of the Rings is her jam. So when we went to Comic-Con one year in New York, she got a bunch of like prosthetics from Weta Workshop, had a booth there. If you don't know who Weta Workshop is, they're the ones who made like all of the props, costuming and everything for Lord of the Rings. They worked on Narnia. They worked on some video games too. And they've done a lot. I think actually Weta's involved in the Lord of the Rings Dwarf Survival Moria game.
I believe so.
If I remember correctly.
That sounds right.
So when we did that, she found these Hobbit feet that we didn't buy when we were there because we don't want to drag them on the subway. But she found these Hobbit feet, and she's obsessed over them ever since. So when we talk about doing the vacation home, she's like, all of the promo pictures, Dad, should just be like me all like relaxing on the couch with the Hobbit feet prosthetic, and then like me in the kitchen with eggs with the Hobbit feet. I was like, it's the only thing that's going to sell the vision, so we got to do it. But yeah, I think that would be cool. Yeah. Here's another thing, going back to Star Wars too. If you wanted to do that with Star Wars, how would you? Because you see like these vacation homes in Orlando. You go on Airbnb, you type in Star Wars Orlando, and people make these crazy vacation homes. They're well done. But it's never fully going to capture the essence of Star Wars. The closest I've ever been is going to Hollywood Studios.
So I think the problem here is that whenever it comes to like room designs, like look at the Halcyon Star Cruiser, for example. It's always like, it's very either like Imperial feeling or like a Republic ship feeling. Like it's always based around like being inside a ship. And I think what needs to happen is it needs to be on, and you and I talked about this, Star Wars has a Tatooine problem. I think what you could do is you would just set up like the like Aunt Brew and Uncle Owen's like the sand dome thing, and it's just like that's your little vacation space. But it's all it's all Tatooine themed.
What if we did an Airbnb in Phoenix, outside of Phoenix?
Yes.
And when you walk up, the burnt bodies of Owen and Baru are out in the front.
And they're always smoking. Always.
And there's smoke rising from the house. And you go in, and it's like, there's a nice earthy, smoky smell in the Airbnb.
We'll pump barbecue smell into the hut at all times.
Yeah, there you go. And then, what? Oh man! On that note, then what if there was a way to make Owen and Baru's body like a smoker that you could use?
Oh my God! Okay, we've gone too dark. Too dark. I don't think don't think they'll want to have human grill pits, but
Why? It'd be fun. Well, they're not actual humans.
I know,
Props
but
to him.
I don't know. I mean, look at Pirates of the Caribbean and Disney World. Did you know that the skeletons that were on the
Yes.
beaches for the longest time were actual cadavers?
Hey,
And
Walt
it was just recently, like in the last 5 years, that they finally get the last of human remains out of the rides, and that's in Disneyland and in Disney World.
Walt was a stickler for authenticity. I mean, I don't know what to tell
it
you.
was probably cheaper to just go get cadaver bones than it was to. No, I'm serious. Think about the times. We're talking 1970s, 1980s, right? It was
That's so
cheaper.
disturbing.
It's cheaper to get dead people than it is to actually pay artists to make bones.
Do you sign like a waiver or something, and then your grandkids are in there, like, look, sweetie, there's Grandpa. He's sitting on the beach over there. Ha, he's immortalized forever.
Guys, we're gonna get real dark real quick. California has a homeless people problem, and I bet you they just probably not Disney themselves, but I bet you there is something at a government level where maybe it might just be. Because I don't think you're gonna be because the people who donate their bodies to science. I don't think they ended up as Disney rides. Just turn into a worse radio show episode. You can cut this part out.
No, leave it.
Perfect.
It's dark.
So dark. I'm just saying.
I mean, I liked mine better, where it was like, look, sweetie, there's Grandpa. You had to take it a step further
I'm
and
not,
say that.
I was still talking about Pirates of the Caribbean.
That's what I mean. I was like, look, if I was older, let's say I was in my 80s, and I was like, they're like, when you die, we want to use you as a prop in Disney World.
No, I don't want to be.
I would probably.
You want to be immortalized?
I would say yes.
Yeah, that's how you want to be remembered.
Dude, I'm not doing anything with my body. I'm the guy that wants to get freaking whatchamacallit, cremated anyway. I don't want my body. I want to be dead. And my wife has instructions to take my ashes to northern Scotland, which is like the biggest part of my piece of pie in my heritage, and throw that shit out to the northern wind as it blows out to the sea, and I'm gone. That's it. I become one with the ocean.
I hope the wind's blowing in the other direction.
No, because then it's going to blow back in my wife's face, and I don't want that to happen. If it was me with her ashes, yeah, that'd be hilarious. We would all have a good laugh, like, you got me one last time, you bitch. But with I don't want that to happen to her or my kids. That'd be so traumatizing for my children. Jules would think it was funny. She's the only one though.
You think that's gonna be Jules' humor?
Oh, she's me.
Perfect.
100%.
I love that.
Oh no, dark humor. My son is the sensitive one, like my wife, and my oldest.
Man, our kids are gonna get married, huh?
Yeah, because they're opposites. And the oldest is like, she teeters on both sides. Although she's been sending me, like, I don't want to say dark jokes, but like adult jokes on TikTok lately.
Well, I mean, she has other influences, so
yes. I'm not attributing it completely to me, but as a personality. But then yes, my youngest daughter. Oh yeah, she's the boy. Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Great.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be yeah. But your son and her are complete opposites, which is why they get along.
Yeah, Kyler's a lot like me.
Oh, Danielle made the mistake of telling her that his birthday's coming up for the party, and now last night I walked in the door and he's like, "We're going to Kyler's house," and I was like, "Now? I don't think so."
That's what Kyler did for Jules the longest time. Is it Jules?
She woke up this morning. Yeah, she woke up this morning. She came in the room. She climbed in the bed with me. It was like 6:45, and she's like, "Dad, Kyler's birthday today?" And I'm like, "No, it's in like weeks from now." Like, so she's like, "We go into their house?" "Yes, we will, but not today." So she's like, "I'm like, you will probably see him before that." So should be a good time. Yeah, GCX. Anyway, back to Star Wars. Went off on a tangent there.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, we had fun with it.
That was fun.
Number 7 on this list is first look inside Marvel Star Wars Dark Droids. Look at that, Tim. It's like a comic made just for you.
Why? What do you mean?
Dark Droids?
Yeah, I mean, it's all the Imperial droids.
Beyond the High Republic Initiative, the panel revealed the first pages from Inside Star Wars Dark Droids, written by Charles Soule, featuring a KX security droid.
Do you also see who's together?
Who? Where? What?
Look, it's Chopper. Look, Chopper's in one of the panels. In this one, in number 6.
Is he in? Is that him in disguise?
No, look at.
Oh no, I do see him. Okay,
so
yeah.
Chopper's there in this one, and then if you go down to Dark Droid's D Squad, it's R2D2, Chopper, and this the pit droid. I have no idea. I mean, he looks. I don't know if we know this pit droid already. It just says and a pit droid. So yeah, but it's so cool that Chopper and R2D2 at some point hang out. I love
the pit
that.
droid would have been interesting if it was the one from the episodes of Clone Wars where that little general gets stranded on that planet. Would have been fun if it was him. Is that Dr. Afra in the second page of Dark Droids?
It looks a lot.
Top right frame.
Yes, most definitely, because those are her two evil versions of C-3PO and R2D2.
Okay. Yeah, that's what
like
I thought.
The protocol droid, she converted him into like a death unit, and so he just wants to kill everyone. He's like Mr. Bones essentially, but just like even more evil.
Speaking of Mr. Bones, I walk in last night. My son re-downloaded Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker saga. He's like, "Dad, who's Master Bones?"
Master
and
Bones.
I'm like, Master, and I go, Mr. Bones? And he's like, yeah, who's that? I'm like, he's from the Aftermath books.
Yeah.
He's like, I just unlocked him in Lego Star Wars. I was like, oh, they really went for the obscure characters.
In Lego, I was really surprised the character list that they had in Lego Star Wars. Like it was oddly enough, Aftermath I still think is a very boring trilogy. Even though it's the one that I will always recommend to everybody. It's like, if you want to know Star Wars history, if you really want to know how we get from episode 6 to the startings of episode 7, you have to read Aftermath. And what's cool is I've seen more and more people lately with like Mr. Bones in their like when I was playing Battlefront. I was playing Battlefront during May the 4th. And there was people that were like, they had Mr. Bones as their name. Now, I don't know if they were just being just gamers, or they were really actually making a Star Wars reference. But then seeing like Mr. Bones in Lego Star Wars was even like, that was really cool. And like he's exactly how they describe him in the book. He's red. He's got bones attached to him. Like, he looks scary.
Mr. Bones.
Die.
Is that Jabba underneath that frame on the right?
It looks a lot like Jabba. I mean, like you've got the older protocol droid that was the one that got chucked out that you see in Return of the Jedi that's being tortured. That was the older protocol droid. You've got Boba Fett standing behind Jabba, or behind I'm going to go ahead and say yes, that is Jabba the Hutt. Also, you've got Lando Calrissian in the panel before that. But this is all from just one comic book. This is all from Dark Droids.
Dark Droids.
So, like, knowing that we're going to have Lando, we're going to have Dr. Afra, we're going to see Boba Fett, we've got Jabba the Hutt. Like, there's a lot going on in here. Chopper, R2-D2. Like, they're really kind of pulling out the stops for this one. So I kind of want to give this a go.
That little thing over their head, too, the little decorated door frame, if you will.
Yep.
That's also that was part of what Jon Favreau talks about in the Making of Book of Boba Fett.
Oh, these are you talking about these little word boxes that are above in the pictures?
No, like above Jabba, there's that like intricate door frame thing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Jon Favreau talks about how they saw it in the movie and how they painstakingly recreated it 1-to-1 for Book of Boba Fett, and I thought that was cool. So yeah, I recognize
because
that
they
as
didn't
well.
actually they didn't have anything left of that original set, so they had to go. Everything was done through reference images and the movie, which is really cool. That we got
our Halloween Tales from the Death Star comic as well. Writer Kevin Scott revealed multiple spreads from his latest horror offering for the San Diego Comic-Con audience, a preview of thrills to come this September.
Yeah.
So there's like
we're gonna have to read these for October.
Imperial zombies.
Look at what is this? You've got an Ewok going ham on this TIE pilot. I don't know what's going on, but he looks terrible. He has rabies.
With a Trandoshan and a Mon-Cala underneath him.
Yeah, and then there's like this demon that's flying through space that then like attack like it's very spectral, and it just like goes in and like is like clawing at this pilot. Like, yeah, this looks wild. This looks really, really cool.
All right. What else we got? We got Dawn of the Rebellion, the visual guide.
Yes.
So this is another encyclopedia style book, seemingly to catch us up on a lot of the shows that have come the pre-episode 4. So it looks primarily to be Andor. Obi-Wan. I think those are the only two I see in here. Some animated stuff. Vice Admiral Rampart's in here.
Yeah, so
from Bad Batch.
Bad Batch. It'll be Obi-Wan. It'll be Andor. It'll be they put this X-wing in the front, which makes me feel like we're gonna get a little nod towards like, what is that, Rogue Squadron, or like what's going on there? I'm not too sure. But yeah, we got all these characters that are in here. And again, these visual guides, these encyclopedias are so good. Like, this is how Kyler learned about most of his Star Wars stuff, is that my mom got a visual guide. And so he would just like flip through pages and he would just point, and then I would like read it to him. And then now he's able to like go through and he's like, oh, this is so and so, and this is who this is, and he knows planets and stuff all just from like looking at this. So like, honestly, your kids will just like, if you are exposing your children to Star Wars, I would say this is a great thing for you and then also for them, because it's got great, like, everything's illustrated or there's pictures, and like they can just visually just like associate, which is really cool.
I see Senator Chuchi in here too, so it might be. She was in Bad Batch
Chuchi
too.
was a really big component of the trying to get the equal rights for clones, and so I think that's like that was a big chunk of Bad Batch, the season 2 storyline. So like that makes a lot of sense. We see Nax, who's a clone trooper that we meet in Obi-Wan, the guy who is asking for
the homeless one,
the homeless guy,
homeless
was
vet.
really sad. Dr. Hemlock, Vice Admiral Rampart. You've got
Dr. Hemlock, played by Doyle McPoyle.
Doyle McPoyle.
Is it Doyle? I don't know which McPoyle it is.
Yeah,
but
it definitely looks like one of the McPoyle twins. They go over Senator Organa, and then Bale and Brea. So it's cool. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff there. Fortress Inquisitorius. So I'll be getting this one.
Liam McPoyle.
Liam McPoyle.
This is Dr. Hemlock. And if you didn't know that and you watched It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and Bad Batch, yes, Dr. Hemlock is played by the guy that plays Liam McPoyle.
Which is crazy, because like when you hear his voice, it's like, man, that's an evil motherfucker. And then and then you remember what he looks like, or you go watch an episode of Always Sunny and you're just like, nah.
Hopefully in next season of Sunny, someone gets fork stabbed. In next season of Bad Batch, someone gets fork stabbed.
God, that would just be so funny, right in the chest.
Fork stabbed. That's what you get, Charlie. That's what you get. I love that show so much. But yeah, that's kind of the Comic-Con wrap up. The only other thing I think Tim wanted to talk about.
It's the Comic-Con wrap up on the comic book side.
The publishing side.
Yeah, on the publishing side. The other big piece was Star Wars Outlaw went ham with interviews. Games Radar got an interview. IGN got a great interview. And a lot of it just goes into more intricate details. They didn't really like spoil anything or like give out too much. A lot of they just talked about the intricacies of the mechanics as far as like what you can do. And more, this is literally This is like if Rockstar was given the Star Wars contract. Like that's that is as close as I can get to saying that Outlaws is going to be Star Wars Red Dead at the end of the day. Like the stuff that they're talking about and continuously bring up, that we learn that we're going to get 2 familiar crime syndicates, and then there's going to be a new one, which is we kind of knew that we're going to have the Hutt Syndicate, and then is it Black Sun? Is Black's, or it's one of the other ones. But anyway, so we know there's going to be 3 syndicates. We know that you can backstab Jabba the Hutt at some point, and you can screw him over, which is like so cool that it's dynamic in that sense, where you can make decisions of like who you want to side with and build faction rep. And so like that's really, really cool that they are giving you that much freedom. They went into a little bit more detail about her companion. They talk about the commando droid a little bit more. So like, I mean, honestly, it wasn't a lot to really talk about unless you really care about the intricacies of what this game is going to bring. But for me, what I'm getting out of this at the moment is that this is literally going to be a Red Dead Redemption Star Wars game. At the end of the day, you and I kind of talked about that last week, and like this one episode or this one article coming out of Games Radar says Star Wars Outlaws is set between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, so you can do maximum crimes. Which makes so much sense, because this is the part in the timeline where things are at their highest. When we get to episode 6, the Empire's on their heels. The rebellion's kind of like we're kind of like making some headway, but it's not really working out for us too much. We need something to really punch it to the Emperor. But in between 5 and 6, it is full max. Everybody's going at it right now. You have coming out of the Battle of Hoth, you had Luke Skywalker's kind of like going on his Jedi journey. So for him to even show up, I don't even think we'd see a Luke Skywalker in this. I feel like because he's so busy out in Dagobah and learning the ways of the Jedi and all that stuff. So I think like for them, this is the best place to have a playground. I
hope we don't see Luke.
I don't want to see any. Like honestly, like I don't want to see any Force users unless they're going to be like hiding. Unless it's like a Force user that like survived the Purge and has been hiding on a backwater planet, and so like we run into someone like levitating rocks or something. You're like, what the hell's going on? Like, oh, things like that I would totally love. But for us to see like a
Quinlan Vos.
Yeah, I mean, like there's a lot of characters that I would love to see, and there's a lot of characters that I would honestly think that it would water down the experience if they showed up. And I think the Force users are going to be like, and it's really just Luke Skywalker at this point, so or Yoda, and you'd have to go to Dagobah to do that. So like, but I don't even know if we're going to have that ability. We do know that we are going to go back to Tatooine. That is one piece that they harped on. Back to the whole Star Wars has a Tatooine problem. They said it wouldn't feel like a Star Wars game if we left Tatooine out. So
you could,
but then you wouldn't have the Hutt Syndicate. And so you wouldn't.
Fair.
Like Jabba is the most iconic crime lord in Star Wars because he's been around the longest. Like we could talk about Black Sun, we could talk about all these other like cool syndicates that are out there, but for the most part, the Hutts, and then who are the other ones? The snake looking people that they showed off in the trailer.
The Pike Syndicate.
The Pike Syndicate. Thank you. The Pikes are also very popular because they've been in Clone Wars. They've been in Solo. They've been in a lot of different mediums, and so that also makes sense. So I don't think we're ever going to be able to get away from Tatooine because there's so many things that tie into that planet. Boba Fett's now tied into Tatooine, and we're never going to get away from it, Kevin. We're just stuck in that sandy ass planet.
I mean, it is the first planet you ever visit in a Star Wars movie.
It's so iconic, and it's just like we always make just back on fucking Tatooine again. But you're never, all of the iconic scenes are there. You first meet, the Sandcrawler, the Jawas, the pod racing, Obi-Wan, Boba Fett, the Sarlacc pit, Jabba the Hutt. I could go on and on about all these iconic things that happen there.
Doesn't it just remind you of Luke whining the whole time? Because that's what it does for me.
I just want to go fight in the rebellion. All my friends are doing it.
Uncle Owen, this droid has a bad motivator.
Mark Hamill, I love you. I'm so sorry.
I really do. He's the best, but Luke is whining. Well, I mean, he does a very good job of maturing the character over 3 movies.
Really does.
So.
Yeah, he definitely. Yeah, I am a Jedi like my father before me.
That's
such a great line.
We start with whiny
bitch.
Luke, and
that's what happens with the iPad kid. He just had
Did
to
you
grow
know
up.
that? Did you know that in the scene with the trash compactor when he's giving out the number for whatever, he actually gave his real phone number on accident, so he had to change it after the movie.
No way. That's funny. There's a funny clip floating around of Mark Hamill talking about episode 4, and him and Harrison Ford are in the trash compactor scene, and he's just like, put I just got to get some of this schmutz in my hair. And Harrison Ford apparently goes, "Hey kid, I don't think it's that kind of movie." I think Harrison Ford thought schmutz meant something else. It's a really good clip. It's really funny.
I love when Mark Hamill does his Harrison Ford impression.
It's perfect.
It's perfect.
But he's been around that man for so long. They've grown up together.
Oh man,
That'll be you and I at some point. I'm sure I'll be able to do a killer Kevin impression.
Nobody hates Star Wars more than Harrison Ford.
He really does. He really does.
I love when people ask him like
Indiana Jones. I think the Indiana Jones universe, I think he loves more than anything else.
I also think that his Star Wars hate is a bit at this point.
You think so? You think he's just doing it for shits and giggles?
It's the thing that made him. It's the movie that made his career. Like, how could you hate that?
Yeah.
And he's blossomed into a phenomenal actor in so many pivotal roles.
He's just a terrible pilot.
Yeah, he needs to stop getting flying planes.
Please stop crashing your planes, sir. No, but he was talking about the de-aging, and he was talking about how he didn't want that to take away from the movie, and he's like, I don't want to look younger. I don't need to look hotter. I'm old. He was like, I just wanted to be able to use the younger version of me to help tell the story. And so I just thought that was really cool. Like it's so cool to see someone just age the way that he has and just accept it the entire way through. You know, just like, I'm just like, this is me. Like that's really cool. I want to be like that when I'm old. It's just be like, yeah, this is it.
I imagine I'll be a lot like Harrison Ford when I'm old. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. I agree.
All right, kid. The only other thing I think we want to touch on before we run out of here is John Boyega's change of heart.
What the hell? Like I saw so many tweets and articles that were popping up about Johnny Boy being like, they're saying that John Boyega is open to returning to Star Wars. Didn't he like a couple years ago just bash the franchise?
He bashed it because of the fandom that harassed him and Daisy and all them.
But didn't he continue to go on? And like, I feel like he just kept like going.
Well, he said he would never do Star Wars. He said he will never do Star Wars again.
He doubled down on the, I won't ever do Star Wars again. And I think that's the part where I was like, I totally respected it. I was like, that's fine. That's okay. And I understand. But like, I wonder what happened. I wonder what happened with Lucasfilm, Disney, and everything else that made him want to come back. Is it because it's doing so well, or do you think there's been a big change of heart when it comes to the issues that John was dealing with?
Paul also brought up one of the other biggies, which was on the Asian promotional posters. He was moved from, being a main character to like the bottom of it because of, the racist aspect of being a black man in the Far East.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Did we talk about that?
That was I don't think we've ever talked about.
I don't think we've ever really talked about that.
Yeah, but on all of the promotional posters, like if you look in America, or I shouldn't say America, if you look in the most of the rest of the world, I'll say it that way. He's very prominent on all three posters.
Yeah.
If you look in the posters from, I think it's specifically China, but it's probably a few of the other Asian countries.
Yeah.
I don't think Japan or any of those countries would do this too, but he's moved to the bottom and he's like almost like one of the minor characters. And I know he took issue with that.
See, now I could totally understand that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But but they never really, I don't feel like that was ever really like, unless you like really stayed close to what John Boyega was talking about, that was never really brought up in mainstream media. I saw like
he mentioned it in interviews. It wasn't ever a story. It was always John talking about it in an interview.
But that was the whole thing is like, I always felt like they made it seem like John was very frustrated with the franchise because he just, of X, Y, or Z reasons. I could totally understand the fans. Like I was listening to an interview with who plays Spider-Man right now. What's his name? Tom
Holland.
Tom Holland. He was talking about how he stepped away from making movies. He was talking about how like just like the intense like the fans and the like expectations and stuff. Like he was hating it, and it was just like, and I wonder if that also had a big play into it, because I would feel like not everyone is equipped to handle what comes out of Star Wars. Like, I don't think I'd be able to. Like, that extreme level of fandom that's got to be rough.
You will never make the Star Wars fan base happy, no matter what you do, because even before Disney came in, they were still whining and bitching about so many different things that made up the fandom. We had the multiple timeline. We had so many different things that were not, this happy-go-lucky story like some of these toxic fans like to say, like, everything was better before Disney. It's like, you were still complaining. Yeah. Stop. So I understand when he says, that about the fandom and whatnot. And I think it was just coming into the role. He signed for 3 movies. The hate probably started after the first movie. And there, forget about racism being relegated to the Far East, too. Like, people were racist that a black man was in Star Wars. In a major role, and it's like, Lando, we're just gonna ignore that. You all love Lando.
I don't understand any of that, because
makes no sense.
This was I remember the Star Wars post that we were seeing where they were saying like Star Wars has like 30,000 different species. Like, are we really gonna bitch about this? Like, and that's I think that's really true. I think like if you are a fan of Star Wars, like a true fan of Star Wars, you're extremely welcoming to all types of life.
Also, it's not your story.
Exactly.
You can love the story and like it, but it ain't your story to tell. So regardless of who's telling the story, it ain't your story to tell. Like, that's what I tell people. We've talked about this ad nauseum with House of the Dragon and how they changed the Valerians to being black, but people were like, oh, that's not how Martin would have wanted it. It was like, it was his idea.
So isn't he like one of the main producers? Like, what the
Yes!
fuck, dude? I love it when people think they know what the people like are thinking. Blows
Yeah,
my
he
mind.
wanted to change it up and make things different. And
the Valerians are
I think it was
badass looking. Like,
I was a welcome change. Valerians are awesome.
They're so
like in
cool.
the show. Fight me, I don't care. Like the Valerians are one of my favorite people in House of the Dragon. So
I love their hair. Like their hair is
And
like,
I'm-
all done in just like dreads, but it's all white. Like it's just so sick.
I'm very excited to see why they're not relevant come, the Game of Thrones series, because their house obviously falls. I mean, I know the story because he's putting pop rocks on this crepe right now. Sorry, that got distracted.
Oh my god. And chocolate chips.
Anyway, so with John, I'm happy he's coming back. I like Finn as a character.
I love Finn.
I think Finn suffered from, or wanting to come back. I shouldn't say I confirm he is. I think Finn suffered from horrendous writing.
Yes.
I think Finn's story with Rose was just a complete waste of time for everyone involved. And again, when I say that, I am not blaming the people that played those two roles because they did it to the best of their ability. I think the writing needs to be blamed in that scenario, and also the overall storytelling because their whole story was horrible.
Finn and Rey should have been the Luke and Han. Like that's how it should have been. And like you could see that chemistry. I feel like they were building out that chemistry at the end of episode 7. Like that was definitely very, very adamantly there that there was a connection between those two. Like that should have been the dyad.
And Finn in episode 7 was awesome because, him trying to pretend he's with the Resistance and all of this fun stuff. And then when they go to Maz's castle, like I enjoy Finn throughout that process. I also think 7's a good movie. I know a lot of you hate it. I don't really care, but I think 7's a good movie.
4, but it was well done.
Episode 8 and 9, while they have their moments, I don't think they're great movies. Just like I don't think
trash.
episode 1 and 2 are good movies, but they have their moments, aka like Duel of Fates.
I mean, okay, so Rey and Kylo in the throne room, that's pretty cool. Great fight scene, I think. Rey and Luke together, fantastic. I love that part. But that's really it coming out of episode 8. Episode 9,
I like Kylo and Luke. I liked that standoff.
that was really good. I think the end with the big walkers on Crate, fantastic. It's really, really
And
cool.
Luke's, I thought people get mad, but I thought Luke's death was actually like it
Because
made
it's not
sense.
even a real death. He doesn't really die. Like, and I think that's the beauty of it is that he became so he shut like okay, here we go. He shuts himself completely off from the Force. He completely closes himself off. And by the time he's done like with Rey and he understands his calling and what he needed to do, he became so connected to the Force that he became a part of the Force. He became a part of the living Force because he accepted it all. He accepted his role. He accepted everything that he understood that my place in life is not what these books are telling me that I need to be. It's what I need to be. It's what my decision. And so like Luke's character development all the way through is well done. But I think that the confusion with Snoke and all of that, I think that dilutes episode 8, in my opinion. Also, the Rey and Finn casino section completely just like ruins, I think, a lot of the movie for me because I just mentally check out.
I mean, it was cool to see Canto Bite and like they've incorporated into other things, but that whole, which stinks because I like Benicio. Is it not Benicio? Is it Guillermo del Toro's character? He's fun as the arms dealer. And what he says actually is one of the most, I think, important things in all of Star Wars that like, I play both sides.
Yeah, he's just a neutral part.
There's money to be made, but there's money to be made. Like war is profiting, which I think is very important to the larger Star Wars message. And they've ran with that and they've done that in other content. But, Luke to me in that scene proves that he is without a shadow of a doubt one of the strongest Force users to ever live because he literally projects himself across the damn galaxy to the point where he tricks another Force user into thinking that he's standing there.
Yeah.
So I like that. I know people don't. I don't care. I like that. It is the way it's written that I have issues with sometimes and some of the other side stories that are taking place. That being said, I do think bringing Finn back into the fold for future content would make sense But I think his character needs to be matured. I think he needs to not be the big joke. He can still be humorous, and he can still also the fact that they didn't play more into his relationship with Poe after, they saved each other.
Oh my God, it was so good. I loved those two together.
But it just kind of drops off in the last two movies.
Yeah.
Like, it's cool in 7, and then it's like, yes, they see each other and say stuff. And then I just feel like Finn is just misused. What did he want to say to Rey? Was it I love you? Was it I know how to use the Force? Was it
you.
like
100%?
What did he want to say to Rey?
It was supposed to be there was supposed to be a love story there.
So I don't understand fully what's going on there. So maybe we'll learn more in future content with this new movie and whatnot. But I for one am cool with John Boyega coming back. I just think you need to get out of the same writing team that did those movies. Obviously it won't be because we're using different directors, and get into, like I saw a thing yesterday, it's rumor, but said that Kathleen Kennedy has no desire to renew her contract after this contract term is up.
Really?
So we may enter the full Dave era of Lucas storytelling.
Good, because that's what everybody wants.
Till they get it, and then the toxic people will go to complain about it. So
I can't believe this Dave guy is ruining Star Wars.
it's going to happen.
I know.
They suck him off for like 10 years prior, and then they're going to turn on him immediately.
God, I love that cowboy hat.
All right. Well, you have to go stream.
I do. I actually need to go do my other job.
I have a meeting in literally 20 minutes. So
yeah. Well, let's get you out of here.
So I was going to go to the office, and now I'm going to sit here for a little while.
All right. Well,
but thank you so much. We will not be on next Wednesday. We will be on Saturday, and we will not be recorded. It will be live. The episode will not come out till the following week because we are not recording an episode that week. And then we have to try and figure out the Zoom recorder for the week after that.
We'll figure it out.
Because we'll be in
just use our iPhones.
Memphis. All right.
It's record with your phone. I've been watching more and more people do that on TikTok. They're like, they have this like really nice camera, and then they're holding their phone as the microphone. So I mean, like, whatever works.
Please join us at GCX this year. We would love to have you. GCXevent.com. If you've got a couple bucks to spare over the next few days through August 1st, our marathon is running, twitch.tv/GCX event. We're raising funds for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. The GCX community has raised over $21 million for them since 2016 and counting. We hope to make that 23 by the end of this fundraising period. So thank you for those that have supported, and please, if you have the extra scratch, go donate. All of the money goes to St. Jude. It is truly a wonderful organization. And make sure you check out the new bags at King's Coast Coffee. We got some offerings coming down the pipeline. If you're coming to GCX, you can go say hi to Abby and Wayne. And get some King's Coast that morning after you get your merch at Lab 77's booth. And you can go to, is it lab77.co for GCX pre-orders. So you can order and then pick up at GCX. Oh, no, is that cut off over?
So that's done. But you can still get your charity marathon T-shirt and it's going to be available until the end of the marathon. So every shirt is $14 to St. Jude. So your T-shirt purchase of $25, 14 of those dollars is going to go off to St. Jude automatically. So you still have time. You can pre-order your marathon T-shirts. They won't get to you by the time the marathon's over, but you will still get your marathon T-shirt to show that you supported the GCX 2023 charity marathon. So head on over to lab77.co and get your charity marathon T-shirt today, and then head on over to Lab 77 booth, and you can get all of the amazing GCX merch that you didn't pre-order because you missed out on that. So head on over to our booth. I'll see you there.
Cool.
Did I do that right? Yeah, it was a hell of
You
an
did it.
ad
You
read,
nailed
dude.
it.
Yes.
You nailed it. You nailed it.
And
So
I didn't do the hey there, hey. I didn't do that bit. So nailed it.
don't forget that after party. There's so much to do. So if you can make it, like you fly in. If you're there day 0, you can go to Gott's pool party the night before. He'll be hanging out.
I'll be there. Nips
be
out
hanging
and
out.
dude.
Yeah. Oh my, Tim shirtless. There's the selling point. Mm-hmm. You can go do that. And then, day 1, Friday, we started at, if you have a premium pass, we started around 9:30. I don't remember the exact time. And then, we let everyone else in around 10. And come on in. D&D starts first thing in the morning with D20 Deathmatch. You're going to have St. Jude panel. Again, line up for meet and greet. You know, it's so much to do. And then that night you have the Bungie panel that's not being streamed. Bungie's going to be talking to people essentially about the future of working with Bungie as a content creator. So I don't care if you average 3 viewers or 3,000, that panel is going to be important to be at if you're in that category. And then we have After Dark. We have 5 of the best comedians from the local area. Actually, 2 of them were from last year. So if you were there last year, Absar Siddiqui and Morgan Gallo are going to be back. Morgan moved to Colorado, and when we asked her to come, she said, "Sure, I'll come back and visit my family just to do the event because I loved last year so much."
Aww.
So Morgan made a way to be a part of it, which was awesome. So we're happy to have them back, and then we have 3 new comedians, and then that's night 1, and then day 2 we jump right back in. More D&D. You got Star Wars and Scotch. Unsubscribed podcast will be live on day 2. More meet and greets. More everything. And then that night you can get into Universal if you get an after party pass starting at 5 p.m. From 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. the whole park is open, and then we get shuffled into our after party area from 9 to midnight. There'll still be some rides open. You can meet the Transformers. They'll be available. We got a DJ. Yeah, no, it's going to be pretty cool. I'm excited for if you've never met the Transformers at Universal, I highly recommend doing it because it's not your normal meet and greet.
No, because they actually talk to you, which is so sick.
Bumblebee is the best. So come on down, gcxevent.com. Come hang out with us, even if you're and if you're like last minute, you're like, you know what, screw it, I'm coming. Book your room at Rosen. They just added a few more rooms to the room block just to keep it alive. So book your room at Rosen. With that, we will see you next Saturday, not Wednesday, on twitch.tv/GCX event. I'm not going to tell you what time because I want you to watch the whole show over the course of the 2 days. So I also don't have it in front of me. So twitch.tv/GCX event.
I want to say it's like 3 or something like that.
It's something like that. I think it's like 2:45.
Yeah.
So check that out, and that's where we'll be. So do not look for us on Wednesday. Look for us on Saturday. The episode, if you don't get to catch the live portion, will be up the following week. And then Tim and I will be recording in Memphis the week after that. But until further notice,
May the
Tim,
force be with you.